Hi guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be learning a little bit about ISO and how that works and how you implement that into images to get the best results for what you're shooting. So if you want to learn about that, stay tuned because we're going to be covering that in just a minute. Hey guys, why not subscribe? I upload every Saturday. I create you awesome videos like this and giving you some updates and tech gear and all that kind of stuff to help you progress in your photography. Guarantee you won't be disappointed. Right, so ISO. ISO is literally a sensor. The sensor that sits right at the back of the camera, in front, or behind the shutter speed. The shutter speed is behind the aperture. An ISO. Are you alright? So an ISO is literally how much light gets absorbed into the sensor. The ISO is the sensor. So with an ISO, if you've got an ISO of 100, it's just a general, that's just generally the normal amount of light that's coming in. I don't usually tend to shoot on 100 ISO, I like either 200 or 400. The lower the ISO, for example 100, the less noise you're going to get. Anything above 1600, I think the image is going to get extremely noisy and you'll have to patch it up in Lightroom. Honestly, depending on what type of photography you're shooting, if you're shooting sports and extreme movement photography, noise is fine in an image because that's what you're trying to get the movement, you're trying to get the activity, and you're trying to get what they're doing and their actions and how they're, their emotions, their feelings, that's what you're trying to achieve. But for things like landscape photography, you want minimal noise as possible. And that's what's good with night photography. You can have an ISO of 100 and have your shutter speed go for like 20 seconds without having noise in your image. You can see how dark this video is right now. Let's go up and change the ISO to as high as possible. But what we're going to do is I'm going to set up my camera again. I'm going to show you how we can capture something moving in the distance, for example, like a boat, but we're going to have our ISO up. We're going to have our ISO up. And then I'm going to show you something simple that we don't need an ISO and we can have it down. So we'll get that going in just a second. Right, so as you can see, we now have this set up. I've got my 55 by 250 millimeter lens, so we can get right in nice and close. So what we're going to do, if we're not touching ISO, if you're just using a camera normally and you're not really too sure what's going on, you set your ISO to maybe 100 because you don't know what that is, and it's usually probably on an f11 when you normally have it. So let's take a picture now. Let's take this off because you're not going to need that at all. It's from our previous video, which you can check out. I'll leave a little card up in the corner. If you are enjoying this, feel free to subscribe. I do a lot of informational videos too, and I also do a few travel vlogs. So let's take a picture. Dark. See, that's what you're going to expect because this is literally like that. You can't even see that with the naked eye. You can't see how fast that shutter is, and this aperture is tiny. It's like that. So you're not getting any light in your camera at all because there's no light passing through that. So in order for us to, if this is like sport photography, so in order for us to get something really good, we need to set, if we want to just have the subject in focus and everything else in the background, we want about an f8, I reckon. But see how there's a boat coming along now. We want to set our ISO up to about 6.4. You can see that's it's quite overexposed. So now we want to take this maybe down to a 10. And now it's getting there. So maybe we don't want that ISO up that high. We want to take it to there. And that's fine. We'll do metering later, but you can see pretty much what that is. So you can see the boat coming over now. Let's actually focus in. Make it blurry. But they're going quite slow. So we want kind of like a jet ski or something. But as you can see, take the photo. And it's just stopped. If we were to take that on a normal shutter, you'll get a slight bit of movement. You get the slightest bit of movement from the boat because the boat's it's moving. It's not a solid object. But the problem with ISO is your image will be incredibly noisy. So if we take this and we zoom right in on this picture here, you can see the noise starting to form now. You can see all the graininess here. Well, you wouldn't get that if you had a normal shutter speed. A normal ISO. And you just had a normal shutter. But with sport photography, you're not trying to wow people with a crystal clear picture. It can be in focus, completely in focus. It can be noisy. You don't have to have these crazy. It's not like you're doing like a masterpiece. You could be doing sport photography clearly for a magazine or something. But you see that? See how like they're moving quite fast in the water. But when we take the photo, they're dead frame. See that? And there's no blur. Let's take another photo. You're ready. It should be coming up here soon. But what that does is that adds extreme amounts of noise to your images. Unless you're trying to go for some kind of effect, you shouldn't need to have your ISO up so high, sorry. Because if you have your ISO up that high, you're going to get extremely noisy images. If we take our ISO back down to, say, I'd recommend 400, it's very dark. But let's go ahead and also change our shutter speed to like 80 or something. You can see he's moving, and let's take our, this down to 10 so we can actually see what's going on here. You see how that boat's moving and he's moving? Okay. So now let's zoom in on that. See, there's absolutely no noise in this image, but see how blurry things are? That's because people are moving and your shutter's not fast enough to capture that movement, to stop everything. So that's also the upside of having a very fast shutter, because you won't get that movement. But the downside is you're going to get a noisier image because you've got to let more light in. If we were to set our ISO back up again to 6400, right, it's very blurry, or very overexposed, and we want to take our shutter all the way down to 4000. We want to move our aperture up, so you've got to hold down this and move this. It'll be different each camera. We'll go underexposed, sorry, so we'll go, that's about good, that's good. So let's zoom in. It's very shaky because image stabilizer, look, see that? Image stabilizer off. Image stabilizer off. See how it's shaking? So, because they say when you're on a tripod, don't have image stabilizer on, but for things like this, for macro, I honestly think it is highly recommended, because see how easy that is? I mean, I think we are zoomed in quite a lot. But you can see that, and I zoom in now, it's caught like almost every bit of movement, and it's freeze framed it. But it's incredibly noisy. So that pretty much covers ISO. Higher ISO, say 6400, 12800, more noise, grainy, more light. Lower ISO over 100 or so, less noise, less light, no grain. That's two things to remember. Use these three: aperture, shutter, ISO. Use those three accordingly in your images to adjust more light, less light, for example, and you'll have no problem. I'm going to show you something. This right here, this is what I'm going to show you. This is great. I'm going to leave this in the description and you can check this out. This is great. This is a great example of how to implement things. So for example, here we have our aperture. Smaller aperture, extreme depth of field. Everything in the image is completely sharp. So you can show f1.4, everything in the background is blurry, subject is crystal clear. Also show shutter speeds, what we covered a little bit today as well, and last. So shutter speed of 1000, stopped motion. Shutter speed of 1/60. The subject is a little blurry, and obviously down here, 1/2, subject is moving. So this is a great exposure chart and camera chart for you to look at on a daily basis. I have it in my folder and I have one on my phone, so I can just check over that constantly, even though I know most of this now, but it's great to have. I'll leave that in the description. Now I hope you know a little bit about how the camera works now. Next time I'm going to go on some metering and how to get your metering right to get the right exposure in your image. But now pretty much, honestly, you should be able to shoot in manual mode with no problem at all. Give it a test. Don't freak out if your pictures aren't coming out well. Trial and error. Honestly, photography is about trial and error. Once you get all your settings down pat and you really know what you're doing, then it gets easier. But you learn. It's all about learning. It's all about pushing yourself to learn and, you know, focusing on things to make it so much more easier for you. These 3 steps that I've told you over the past few videos, they will help you. They will help you. Finding the correct exposure and the correct shutter speeds and everything, that is what the skill is in photography, and that's what your mind. You're the mind. Your camera puts everything to work. That's how it works. Things can be overexposed for a composition. Things could be underexposed. Things could have lower or higher contrast. Like it's really up to you how you implement these. Hopefully those 3 steps will help you and help you get your head around how the camera works and how you go and where you go from there. Anyway guys, thanks for watching. Subscribe for more videos. I upload every Saturday. You can subscribe down here and check out this previous video on shutter and aperture. I'll leave a little card just up in the corner here. Enjoy guys, until next time.